Alright, for this tutorial, we're going to be going on site, and I'm going to take you on location with me. I'm going to show you exactly what I use, all the gear that I use, how I run around doing my different flash pops. So let's get on site right now. I'm going to show you how I did this.
Alright, here we are on site. We're running with the Olympus EM1 Mark II with the Olympus 9 to 18 millimeter right there. So first thing I gotta do is get my phone turned on so we can hook the app up to it. I also can get the AD600. Now here is that strap that I hooked onto, or looped it through the hole where an umbrella would go, which is super duper strong. And I found this other clip, or this other strap with these clips, so this can just loop around and hang. So I'm doing all this while I get my phone is booting up, because I use a separate phone for my app. And then this is the trigger that I'm using. I love the X1T. Has another hot shoe on top, which we're not going to use today. But I also have the other Pro trigger in here if I need it, if this one fails or whatever. Spare batteries. This is what the case looks like. And we're booting up. And get the AD600 turned on. So this is all I got to do is make sure that my app is turned on, and then I hit Wi-Fi on my camera. And now if I just close it out and hit remote control, I just have to wait till it tells me, there it is, the EM1 Mark II has been detected. Hit connect. And now we're gonna go. So this is what I like to do for my initial shot. Let's see if I can. It'll ask me whether or not I want live view or remote shutter. I'm gonna do remote shutter because that gives me view on the camera. I can adjust my settings and everything, and it gives me my leveling. And actually, you know what? I want to show that this bathroom is off to the. Maybe we do this, show the whole space here. And we can bring our tripod down a little bit more. So we're gonna definitely have to light that hallway. Okay, take our ambient shot. Review that one. Hopefully I'll be able to light that bathroom. We're gonna find out here. Let's dial that down till we can see out the window. Turn our flash on. Get the app to live view mode here. We're gonna do our flash above the camera, quarter power. Looks good. We're gonna do our composite now. Good. And good. Now we gotta run into the bathroom. This is where we can dial this down quite a bit here. Probably 1/32. Oh good, we have room to come in behind this door here. I'm just gonna tuck in here, make sure I'm not in the shot. Let's try 1/32. Let's look at that. Now we gotta figure out this hallway situation here. If we do this corner, we're gonna have to go to quarter power though. At least, sorry guys, blocking the. Let's see what that looks like, if it gives us enough light. It does. Let's move over here. Let's try to go into this corner. That looks good. We're not even in the shot. That might be able to be blended actually by itself. So that's why it's good to have that live view.
Let's get you into Lightroom right now. I'm going to show you how I prepare these images, bring them into Photoshop, in a simple way to use Lighten mode to blend them all together to get a really nice, clean, professional looking image. Let's go. All right, here we are in Lightroom with our first ambient layer that you saw when we were on site. And let's move to the next one. These images have all been processed using my presets, just my initial bump. It just does the profile corrections and all that. Just make a preset however you want, and that way your workflow will be even faster. All right, so this was the shot above the camera, and let's move on. This is our right flash pop in that living room, and then our left flash pop. So notice that our hotspot ends about right here, and then the other one is right here. So we have that gap in between. That's what you want to watch for when you're running around doing your flash pops, that you're not overlapping. And if you cannot help overlapping them, make sure that you have another image that you can repair that ceiling with, so you don't have just a hot spot in the ceiling that you can't get rid of. All right, so then we got to move on to our bathroom shot. And remember, this was the one that was just not lit well enough, and so we put a little bit more flash power into it. So I use this one. This was that image that I was going to do a composite, but then I realized that this image over here was going to be just a standalone image. We were going to be able to blend this by itself because that hotspot right there is so subtle. We'll be able to just kind of fade that out with maybe another ambient layer or something else. So let's hold down Command and select all my 2 stars. And we're going to right click, edit in, open as layers in Photoshop. Now that we have all the layers loaded into Photoshop, this is what we want to do first. Let's just highlight the top one, hold down Shift, click on the last one so all of them are selected. Come up here to Edit, Auto Align Layers, make sure Auto is selected, and click OK. And that's just going to auto align them. Now, because I'm using that cell phone app, the only time I actually have to touch the camera is when I turn the trigger on. So many times I really don't need this step, but it's good to do anyway, just because once you get going, if there's any ghosting that you didn't notice and that shows up in the image, that's due to the images not being aligned correctly. So it's good just to make that a habit. Creating a preset for that would also help your workflow go faster. So this is what we want to do to make this simple, is let's just start toggling off all these layers until we get to the 2 layers right here that are composite. Now watch this. So we want to select the top one, do a layer mask, Command I to invert, and then we got to make sure white is selected. Let's use the gradient tool. So right here is where we want to start the gradient, and we're going to click and drag this way somewhere before we get into that hot spot of the other flash layer. And look at that, if we toggle that on and off, it just blended those 2 together. All it did was just create it'd be no different than you taking white with the paintbrush and just start brushing up and down like this, but that way it allows you, when you use the gradient tool, to blend those really nicely together, and you can feather them so much faster. And again, remember, all these little things are gonna help your workflow go faster, because if you're doing 40, 50 images per listing and you're doing 2 or 3 listings a day, you don't want to be spending too much time per image, because that time adds up. You can cut your workflow down by half by doing all these little tiny tweaks to make your workflow faster. So what usually used to take me like 2 hours to edit a listing is taking me 45 minutes to an hour now, depending on if there's drone photos or other complex edits and stuff. So, all right, so to make this even simpler, we can just hold down Command, highlight both of those, and right click and come down here to merge layers. All that's going to do is just group them into one image, so we can now start working on the other ones. We can turn this one back on. This is our above the camera shot, and we're going to turn that one to lighten mode. And now we're going to skip this one because this is our merge layer, and we're going to come down here to the second to last one, bring that to the top just underneath the ambient layer. That's our bathroom shot. So to blend this one together with all the other ones, again, just use that lighten mode. And look at that. If we toggle that on and off, all it did was turn on. It just gives you the brightest part in that image. That's why you only need one flash to run around and light your scenes, because lighten mode is going to blend those together with your other flash pops seamlessly. You might have some overspill, but all you have to do is mask that out if that ever is an issue. So let's bring up the last one. This is our hall shot right here, and let's turn that to lighten mode. Now here's an example of the overspill. See how it's kind of discoloring on the wall, because if we turn that on and off, that flash was hitting it. So what we can do is just create a layer mask. You don't need to invert it. Make sure black is selected now. Get your paintbrush tool and just brush that out of there wherever it needs, just feather it out. And that's why I like to use my flow at 5%, so because you can do that super gradually and make that a nice transition. And we'll just keep brushing that out. And again, that hot spot on the ceiling up here, just softly brush that out so it's not even noticeable. And it still is a drastic difference between if we just left it like that. So let's turn on our ambient layer. See, our ambient layer was lighting this part over here very nicely, but we needed some more light over here. So what we can do now is take our ambient layer and drop that to 50%. And if we toggle that on and off, that was still giving us enough hall light. Now, if your ambient layer, even if you drop it to 50%, you need to get that flash layer back in. Again, just do the layer mask, but leave it white, and then we can paint back in some of that flash that we wanted back in. Because that's the thing with doing lights off, is you're able to use your ambient layer to light parts of the scene, typically because you're not going to have any color cast from those tungsten lights. And now all I'm doing here is just painting back in that window view. That's why we leave it white. And we can paint in that flash again to brighten that bathroom up. And notice I didn't have the lights on in that bathroom. And we're able to bring that back in as if we had the lights on. But look, we don't have to deal with any color cast from tungsten lighting. That's why it doesn't matter if there's literally no light. You can just pop a flash, making sure that if you have a hot spot hitting somewhere, that you just move your flash to a different area, like for your repair layer in that flash. So this image looks like it's done to me. Let's go ahead and right click, flatten image. Command S to save it. Let's bring it back into Lightroom as that TIFF file. I'm going to do my interior final bump. And again, it's always a starting point. Bring that exposure down just so you're sitting right of center on that histogram. All right, so there you go. Please leave me a comment if you have any questions. I answer every single comment. Make sure to hit that subscribe button. I have tutorials coming out all the time. Thanks for watching, guys. We'll see you in the next video. Bye-bye.